Hello Globetrotters, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori, and in this community, we aim to educate, motivate, and inspire each other in all things travel related. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can fly without an ID. The inspiration for this video came when I was flying recently, and I was going through the airport, and there was a family there, and they seemed quite distraught, and there was a young lady that the TSA agent was asking if she had ID. The dad was there with the kids, and they were asking him, you know, does she not have any ID, any school ID on her, nothing at all on her? And they said no, and they said, will we be able to not fly? And the TSA agent told them to stand to the side, that they would bring someone else out, and there was another way for them to get through security. So I'm going to talk about those ways of flying. I'm going to talk about what you need to fly, what you don't need to fly, and all of the things. So stay tuned. Can I fly domestically without an ID? Well, the short answer to that is yes. Absolutely, you can fly without a picture ID. But the long answer is a little bit more complicated, so let's get into that. TSA has other ways of confirming your identity using publicly available databases. So there's a good way you'll be allowed on your flight. But first, though, you need to make sure that you complete an identity verification process with a TSA officer. So you may want to make sure that you arrive early to the airport, not just your usual whatever time is recommended for your 1 hour or 2 hours prior to your flight. You want to make sure that you arrive extra time, because it's going to take an extra long time for them to manually, so to speak, verify your identity through the database. So you may want to make sure that you show up maybe 3 hours, 4 hours in advance of your flight taking off. Now, what kinds of things can you have to help verify your identification when you're going through security? If you have a credit card with your name on it, even if you're just an authorized user, if you have perhaps a business card with your photo on it. My work website has my photo on it, it has my position on it, it has my email, my phone number, all of those things on there. Now, this is an official database, official website, official, everything is official. It's not like I made up a Google account and put my picture on there. If you have mail on you, if you have prescription medication with your name on it, if you happen to have your voter registration card on you, I know that's weird. If you had your identification stolen, please make sure that you go and file a police report, because even having the copy of the police report can bolster your case when going through TSA to help you get your identification verified and get you through faster onto your flight. The officer will ask for information including your name, your current address, and other personal details that can be used to confirm that you are who you say you are, and this process can take a while. If they're able to confirm your identity against a database, then you'll be allowed through the security screening. You'll get a boarding pass with a note on it explaining that you don't have any ID. If, however, they cannot verify your identification, then they'll have no choice but to turn you away. So what happens if you wish to travel internationally without an ID? Now, are you saying that you've lost your passport while abroad? If so, then you need to contact your consulate, your local U.S. consulate in whichever country you find yourself. I always tell people to make sure that they have a digital copy of their passport, so keep a digital picture of your passport, the first page of your passport, not the front of it, because everyone's front of their U.S. passport looks the same. So the first page of your passport where it has your number, all of your information, your passport number, your date of birth, when it expires, all of that information, because then they can easily get you a replicate of your passport given that information. But no, showing them that photo will not be sufficient. There's a little bit more involved in that process. This is a stickier problem. Different countries have different rules about the identification they'll accept for commercial flights. So if you're not trying to catch a domestic flight within the US, I highly recommend that you do not try to travel without a passport. Now, can you fly with a temporary driver's license? Unfortunately, even for domestic flights, a temporary driver's license is not considered an acceptable form of ID by TSA. Can you fly with an expired driver's license? Yes, up to a year expired. However, as of May 2025, the TSA will require you to have one of those real IDs, the ones that have the little bit of a star holograph on it. So make sure that you check your state-specific mandates, because your TSA officer may be a little bit more strict than my TSA officer. Now, this whole notion of the real ID was supposed to go into effect back in, I think, October of 2020, and here we are 4 years later, and now they're pushing it to 5 years later, where I think it's going to go into effect in 2025. That may be pushed out again, so just make sure that you're always checking the date. Dependent on when you're watching this video, it may still not be in effect, so just try to get a real ID before it goes into effect officially. Can you travel with a copy or a picture of your ID? Unfortunately, no, this is not an acceptable form of identification, but this may help in your verification process. So if it's something that's like I said, the copy of your passport's first page, what I recommend is keeping it under like double authentication verification, like up in your Dropbox, so that it is not open to just being pilfered by any hacker out there. Can you use your birth certificate to fly? Unfortunately, for adults, this is not acceptable. For children, this may be acceptable because you can prove that the child is under a certain age, and so they do not require a photo ID. Until recently, my son, even, as a 16, 17-year-old, he was being asked for a photo ID, and I kept telling them, he's a minor, he's a minor, he's a minor. Well, when your child is towering over you and has facial hair and has a deep voice and sounds like a man, they're going to keep asking for photo ID. They may require a birth certificate or a copy of a birth certificate to prove that that child is how old they are, but usually they just ask them, they say, what's your name? And they say your first name and your last name. How old are you? And the child verifies their age. So if the child is flying with someone over the age of 18 who has an acceptable form of identification, of photo identification, then the child, usually, again, under the age of 18 in the United States, is permitted to fly domestically. If you're flying internationally, that child is going to need a passport. Each child has to have their own passport. If you have your global entry card, oh my gosh, your global entry card is a great photo ID that you can use if you don't have a driver's license, which a lot of kids these days, a lot of teenagers these days are opting not to drive because they find it just cheaper and less stressful to not have a car. So your global entry card is a great photo ID, or you can just go to the county clerk's office in your jurisdiction and get a photo ID made for you. If you're flying domestically, the U.S. TSA officers will accept a passport. They will accept a state ID, even if it's not a driver's license. They will accept a driver's license. They will accept another country's passport. Yes, they will. They will accept your permanent resident card. They will accept your Veterans Health Identification card. I'll list all that are currently valid forms of photo identification on the screen so you can check that against what you have available to you. So let me know what problems you've had. If you have any additional questions, stay tuned to the channel if you've not already subscribed. My next trip is coming up. I'm probably already on the trip once you're watching this. The last video that I posted is one clue to where I'm going. An article of clothing that I'm wearing is another clue to where I'm going next. So stay tuned for those videos coming, and remember to value experiences over things, because travel is the only thing you buy that truly makes you richer. Thank you for watching. Ciao.